Hey there, you guys. Gabriel Gregson here with Southwestern Illinois EAS. So, one thing that I have learned recently is that the National Weather Service, as of last year, has begun phasing out the hazardous weather outlook product heard over most NOAA weather radio stations across the United States. Usually, this outlook would go something like this. Now, here, I'm saying this as if I was doing St. Louis's outlook. Now here is the hazardous weather outlook for portions of eastern and central Missouri as well as west central and southwestern Illinois. For today and tonight, no hazardous weather is expected at this time. Or sometimes it would list the hazards such as thunderstorms, snowfall, wind, you name it. However, they're fading out this one, and they say it's because they're trying to make it easier for them to issue forecasts, and they're trying to make it basically less work on the meteorologist on duty in the National Weather Service. Now that I do understand. I do understand that running these services on the weather radio networks is a big job, and that the National Weather Service has always been trying to do top-notch job of delivering the forecast. However, I feel like this is not a good move, because one thing that the hazardous weather outlook was always good for was, as a blind person, for me, being able to tell where and when severe weather was about to strike my area. For example, on April 27th, the National Weather Service in St. Louis began calling for severe weather at least a day, possibly 2 days, before the event actually occurred, mentioning that storms would likely become severe in the afternoon through the early evening and overnight hours. They also stated that the thunderstorm chance would be overspreading the entire area. It wouldn't just be in one specific section of their forecast area. For us blind people, that's a big, vital thing, because it's not like we can just look at a weather.gov map or go to a weather model and look at it. We have to literally rely on these weather radios for everything. That's one reason why I'm so interested in the weather radio to begin with, because as a blind person, weather radio for me, that's the only way I can get forecasts. Everyone always asks me, why don't you use your cell phone? The answer? Most cell phone apps for the weather are either inaccessible, meaning I can't use them, or the ones that are accessible are not accurate at all. For example, on the date of April 27th, the one weather app that comes native with the iPhone, which right now is one of the only accessible weather apps that I have found, basically stated that there were going to be no thunderstorms that day. Nothing. None. No severe weather in Troy, no thunderstorms anywhere in the St. Louis metropolitan area. Well, that ended up being way off from the truth. How do I know? Because Madison County got put under tornado warning after tornado warning after tornado warning. It was a mess. In fact, in my compilation, I think there's at least 3 alerts for parts of northern Madison County, and there's 1 for southern Madison County. I'm in southern Madison County, less than a mile from the county line. That's not accuracy. Accuracy is predicting when this weather will hit me and if this weather will hit me. The weather radio has always been my trusted source because, quite frankly, I've found that it's consistently the one source that gets it right most of the time. If that weather radio station in St. Louis is calling for thunderstorms with a 60% chance or higher, I'm on alert. And usually, with the 60% chance or higher, storms do come close to at least hitting Troy. Close enough to where it either rains, or I hear thunder, or we see lightning, something to that nature. So, quite frankly, this hazardous weather outlook phase out, not necessarily the best idea. especially because certain offices, for example, if you look at Tulsa's outlooks, really do a good job at going into depth and detail as to what is expected with these thunderstorms and other hazards. For example, Tulsa will specify how big the hail is supposed to be, how strong the wind gusts are supposed to be, where the greatest instability values will be, how fast the storms are going to move, things like that. Now, if they phase the outlook out, we won't have that. Us blind people will be stuck completely in the dark. That is why I don't feel like removing the hazardous weather outlook in the long run is a good move. If you guys have any feedback or anything else to add, feel free to chime it in the comments below. As for now, Gabriel Gregson signing off.